All right, it's EO here. I decided to do a review on the movie called The Colony. This is an interesting flick. Let me just say, flick you guys, some of you probably haven't even heard of. It's one that kind of disappeared off my radar. Before I get into anything too detailed here, as I've said before, if you're liking the reviews, hit the subscribe button down at the bottom. Leave a comment, leave a suggestion on what to do next. If you have questions, I'll try to answer them. Don't quote me on some of this stuff, though. I'm just as green to it as other people. So I have a certain brand of knowledge, and it only goes so far. So anyway, back to the Colony. This movie, I remember, I don't remember what movie I went to see, and I actually think it was two separate ones, that I saw this movie. This was in the trailers. And I'm like, wow, that movie looks really awesome. Like, oh, wow, that's pretty cool. Okay, nothing new, but looks good. Well, excuse me. Then it just disappeared off my radar. I didn't hear anything from it. I mean, I don't even know. Maybe it didn't end up going to theaters. I really haven't done a lot of looking into it. Apparently, its budget was $16 million, so I mean, I guess it could have been a straight to DVD eventually. But like I said, I did see this trailer. So quote me on that. If anybody else saw the trailer, and is watching this, leave a comment down there. Let me know you did too, so I'm not the only one that looks like I'm crazy. That being said, the movie actually has a pretty good cast. You got Lawrence Fishburne, Bill Paxton, Charlotte Sullivan, and then young Kevin Zegers as well, who's kind of been around the block by now. He's been in plenty of movies. The movie was directed by a guy named Jeff Renfro. I don't know his name. Maybe some of you others do. I don't know. Basically, the premise of this movie is it's the post-apocalyptic frozen wasteland where people live in these, basically you could say these underground bunkers where, they can cultivate, grow in things and everything. Basically one colony, I think it's Colony 5, calls for help, rigs up an SOS. So our guys at Colony 7, a couple of them go off to try to help Colony 5, that being Lawrence Fishburne and Kevin Zegers and one other guy. And I'll just say right now, I'm massive spoilers again, so if you are actually really looking forward to seeing this and don't want anything spoiled, stop right here. If you're not worried about it, keep on trucking. It's not a movie with a lot of surprises anyway. It's pretty normal. It's pretty standard, And by standard, I don't mean bad. I just mean standard as in standard. I'll just start off with some preface here. That Rotten Tomatoes rates this at 15%. I kind of think that Rotten Tomatoes is full of shit, but pardon my French, but I really do think it is. It's rated a lot of movies that are very good movies, very, very badly. One such example I can give right off the top of my head is it rates Superman Returns higher than Man of Steel. And anybody who saw that movie is, anybody with half a brain is going to be like, did you guys see the same movie we saw? So anyway, that's just one example. I could go into probably 1,000 more if I really started looking through their site, but I wanted to preface that. It's a good example of this movie is not a bad movie. It's a pretty standard movie. It was entertaining. So anyway, I'll move on from there. As I was saying, pretty good cast. The acting in this movie is decent. How about I should say decent. It's not bad. It's it's actually it's, pretty standard too. Lawrence Fishburne's really good. you know, I didn't really care for his performance in Predator so much. He was still pretty good, but he's pretty solid. I mean, they cast him right. He's just this ex-army guy. And Bill Paxton plays kind of the, you know, the paranoid, a hard ass, I guess, you know, that's in charge of kicking the people that get sick out of the bunker. And so, anyway, the essence of the movie is when Kevin Zegers and Lawrence Fishburne and their one other, you know, red shirt, to do a Star Trek reference, go off to find the colony. They end up leading a group of cannibals back to the Colony 7, where they're trying to defend it from then on. The movie's actually, it's pretty well paced, I have to say. I didn't get bored during it. Believe it or not, I really didn't get bored. I thought I would, but the pacing's actually pretty good. There's a few spots that kind of, you know, okay. But for a movie that has kind of a low budget, I mean, I guess 16 million would be considered a pretty low budget, really, in the, you know, our times. The special effects actually look pretty decent. I mean, they're very practical effects. There's nothing real. There's no CGI or anything. That's another thing a beef I had with Rotten Tomatoes is when I was looking at it. I don't normally check the site, but in this I just kind of was curious, you know. They even cited as cheesy special effects. Really, they didn't look all that cheesy to me, guys. They're practical effects. There's nothing fancy about them. You know, you could obviously see that they took the lesser of two evils by far. I mean, if they tried to use CGI, it would look terrible because they don't have the budget to do it. So, not bad. All practical effects, so and so. But the story, it's pretty basic. I mean, it's your standard like survival, you know, in a frozen wasteland. In this case, survival fighting cannibalistic things, you know. If you want to see a good movie, a really, really good movie that deals with this kind of same thing, only not frozen. It's just in a post-apocalyptic cityscape. Watch the I think it's done by After Dark Films, I think. Watch Tooth and Nail if you can find it. It's kind of, I think, a tough film to find, but it's got Vinnie Jones in it. Michael Madsen and some other actors in it. It's a good flick. It's really good. It's a lot better than this one. And there's a lot good about this movie, but Tooth and Nail, another good movie to go look at if you haven't seen it. Let me see if I can get you a year on that real quick so you can find it. Let me see here. Sorry, I should have got this beforehand. Yeah, it was done in 2007, so you kind of got a reference point to do. It was released in theaters and everything as well. So, track that one down if you're wanting a better flick than this. But also, if you've watched this flick and you haven't seen Tooth and Nail, if you like this flick, you're probably going to like Tooth and Nail because it's a much better flick. It's a much calmer flick in the sense that they have an even lower budget, but it's really well done. So back to the Colony, though. Let's go, character to character here. The characters in this are very basic. You have the wise old mentor, played by Lawrence Fishburne in a sense, the leader, the good leader. You have Bill Paxton, who's the kind of the asshole leader, the one that's kind of in it for himself and just will pretty much do anything not to get sick and not to, to prolong his own survival. Kevin Zegers, the strong, young, which I would argue strong, but the young, love-struck, has faith in humanity kid. I mean, I guess that's his character. And then you have Charlotte Sullivan's character of kind of a techie chick. I can't really categorize hers. I mean, she's, the romantic interest. And I really like Charlotte Sullivan. I recently had started watching the television show Ricky Blue with Missy Peregrine and her and Gregory Sullivan and everything. So I really like her in that. She's actually a very good actress. I mean, she started out in Smallville and some other stuff. And she's actually really good in here. I didn't know she was in this when I turned it on, and it was nice to see her pretty face. You know, because she has some acting skills to back it up, and I would argue she's probably the best part of this movie as far as her character goes. Kevin Zegers is decent. I mean, he's standard. He's not bad, and he's playing a character that's pretty basic anyway, so it's probably not his fault if the character does suffer a little bit. I mean, nothing about this movie is grandiose. It's a pretty standard survival movie. But, I mean, it's fun. Like I said, I enjoyed it. You know, if I had to give it on a 5-star rating, which I don't really care to do, but I mean, I'd give it a solid 3. You know, not bad, not good, you know, right somewhere in between. There are some really cool scenes in this movie, I will admit. The ending, I'm kind of mixed feelings about. You know, I mean, it's one of those open-ended, like, well, do they make it or do they freeze to death? That's, I suppose, that, you know, they went with the Thing ending in a sense. So, anyway. But, you know, I strongly suggest that, you know, if you do like the post-apocalyptic genre, you're not in for anything really new. But if you like it, you'll probably like this movie, because the production value is good enough that, you know, it holds up. You know, you're not going to be looking the whole way through it going, oh, wow, the effects look really bad in this movie. This looks really bad in this movie. There's some familiar faces. The acting's pretty solid across the board. You know, the good pace. I will say this: the cinematography in it of the snow and everything is very well done. I was very impressed. The bridge scene when they're crossing the bridge. The cinematography there is really good. I was really impressed with it, especially for such a low-budget movie. One thing I will say, I found something kind of neat out that, you know, most of you probably don't know or haven't seen, that this movie was actually the first movie to be shot at the decommissioned NORAD base in North Bay, Ontario, in Canada. So, kind of a cool title to it. I mean, you know, first to do something, so anyway, so that's just another little tidbit for you. There's a decent quote in here that actually made me laugh. Line of dialogue is, they've got these rabbits in here, and they're trying to breed them for meat, I assume. They don't really kind of follow up on that very well, but one of the guys says, you know, you're screwed when even the rabbits won't screw. And that's, you know, I got the kick out of that. And I mean, so, you know, if you have a like for movies, you know, like Mad Max, I guess, to an extent. Like I mentioned, John Carpenter's The Thing already. You got the Frozen Wasteland thing. The Hills Have Eyes, very resemblant of The Hills Have Eyes, very much so. Only not in a desert; it's in a frozen wasteland. So you'll like it, I'm sure. You know, don't expect a whole lot of special effects, but I mean, they're decent. You know. So, the characters aside, it's an okay flick, and I enjoyed it. So, like I said, if you like post-apocalyptic genre, see this movie. If you do not like the post-apocalyptic genre, do not see this movie. You will hate it. If you if you like frozen wasteland movies, you know, if you're into that kind of thing, you know, see this movie. If you're a fan of Lawrence Fishburne, see this movie. If you are a fan of Bill Paxton, I guess see this movie as well. Although the whole time I was just waiting for him, you know, when the guys were attacking, was just waiting for him to go, game over, man, game over. So anyway, you know, take it as you will. But needless to say, I enjoyed it, and I'll talk to you guys later.